Hey, it's Adriana, and this is my top 10 films of 2012. So finally, that time of year has come in January when I feel like I've seen most of the movies that I wanted to see for 2012. I just didn't have time. I mean, who has time to watch all the movies of one year? I mean, let alone just the ones they want to watch. Like, there was a lot of movies out this year, and it was a really, really great year for film. I'm only doing movies that are released in 2012. Like, some of these movies I saw in 2011 because I saw them at TIFF, like, last year. And some of the movies I saw at TIFF this year don't come out till 2013. So those are not on this list. It's only movies that are officially a 2012 release, except for one possible exception because I'm not really sure about it. As well, I'm doing this ranking based on my preference of the film, regardless of how I rated it. I didn't really get to revisit a lot of these movies, so it's really based on my initial viewing. And, you know, it could always change in the future. Maybe I'll change my mind. But right now, this is my top 10 list for 2012. Alright, so I'm going to start off just telling you a few films that I didn't watch that I really wanted to see this year, that, you know, might have made my list. So the most essential one for me was Smashed, which stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Aaron Paul. It was about an alcoholic couple. I really, really wanted to see that movie. I also wanted to watch Sound of My Voice, Compliance, I'm looking at my list, Celeste and Jesse Forever, which I heard nothing about, but it was really intriguing to me, so whatever. Holy Motors, and Taboo. Those are the main ones that I didn't get to see. There's probably a few others I'm forgetting, but essentially those are not on my list because I didn't see them. And then there's a lot of movies that I also didn't see, but that I really don't think I'd like anyway, so I'm not even gonna bother. I have some honorable mentions. These are films that almost made the list, that were on my list at one point this year, but fell off because other films took their place. I do want to give them a mention because they were all really great films that I really loved, and I can't say my list without mentioning these other ones. Your Sister's Sister, which starred Mark Duplass, Emily Blunt, and Rosemary DeWitt. Damsels in Distress, which I talked about in my Not a Chick Flick video. This is a Whit Stillman film that stars Greta Gerwig. It's really cute, really witty, really dry humor. I think it's hilarious, and it's totally a movie I can see myself watching over and over again. Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. I loved that movie. I thought it was a really great satire, really great dramatic comedy. I was really surprised by the chemistry between Steve Carell and Keira Knightley. They really did a great job. 21 Jump Street, I just have to mention it because that was such a good comedy that I have seen multiple times already, and I loved it. It's gonna be totally a movie I'm gonna go back to, and it didn't even get nominated like at the Golden Globes for Best Comedy, which is ridiculous because it was hilarious. It's probably one of the funniest movies that we've had in a long time, so 21 Jump Street was a really surprisingly good. Ruby Sparks, which I love the idea and the screenplay. Like, this screenplay is so genius that I cannot not mention it because I really, really have an appreciation for it. And Zoe Kazan wrote this movie, and kudos to her. She's a great actress, and she was really great in the movie, and Paul Dano as well. I have The Master, which I did see not too long after it came out, but a bit too long after that I couldn't even review it because everything had kind of been said and I had nothing new to say about it. But I feel like if I had watched it one more time, then it might have made my top 10, because the first time I watched it, I didn't really know how to take it, and I think if I saw it again, I'd understand it better, and I don't know, I love Paul Thomas Anderson, and I do think Joaquin Phoenix gave the best performance all year, male or female, in The Master. I think he was incredible. And my last honorable mention, which was probably going to be number 11 on my list, I really, really wanted it in my top 10, is The Sessions with John Hawkes and Helen Hunt, and it's such an incredible movie that I hope everyone watches. It really touched me. It really would affect anybody who watches it. It's beautiful, it's funny, it's sad, it's everything. It's a really great film, and John Hawkes completely got snubbed by the Academy for his role as Mark O'Brien. Now for my top 10 of the year. Number 10 is Amour, which is the Michael Haneke film. It stars Jean-Louis Trintignant and Emmanuel Riva, who I think should win the Oscar this year. Such a well-directed film, so strong in that. Just a really, truly beautiful and heartbreaking and somewhat depressing or really depressing film that captures something that so many people go through every day that it doesn't get talked about or seen for what it really is. And it's really the truest, grandest story of love. My number 9 is Les Miserables, which I absolutely loved. I could not believe anyone had hate for this movie. I would be totally happy if this film won Best Picture. I loved it. I could just watch it again and again. I mean, it's like 3 hours long almost, but it just really, really connected with me. All the performances were amazing, save for maybe Russell Crowe, but even in retrospect, his performance has grown on me. It was my first time really seeing the musical, and I loved the story so much, and I think it was done really, really seamlessly and beautifully. My number 8 is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I'm so happy that I loved it as much as I did, that it was as good as it was, because I was so fearful for this to be a disaster. It's one of my favorite books of all time. Performances in here, Logan Lerman, honestly, I would have given him a nomination. He was so good as Charlie. He really just understood the character so well. Emma Watson and Ezra Miller really, in a weak year for supporting actor, really could have been nominated. It understood the book so well, obviously because Steven Chbosky, who wrote the book, directed and wrote the screenplay, which was something that should happen for all books that are being adapted to screen. It really lets the writer show in another medium what he wanted, and he understands obviously his own work so well, and the vibe of the movie, the atmosphere it gives. I think it's going to be a new classic, and I can't wait to watch it again and again. My number 7 pick is Seven Psychopaths, which I was completely so excited about the first time I watched it. I thought it was hilarious. All the performances were so great, so spot on. Sam Rockwell should have been nominated this year for Best Supporting Actor. He was so great in this. And so was Christopher Walken and Woody Harrelson. And even Colin Farrell, though I think he gave the weakest performance of the cast. This movie was violent, hilarious, had so much heart too. I forgot to mention it in my review, but I actually cried during Seven Psychopaths. I mean, there was some moments that were just so touching. It kind of also reminded me of some other movies, so not completely original, but I still thought the screenplay worked really great. I really, really love this movie, and I think it's something, again, that I could watch many times. My number 6 is Moonrise Kingdom, Wes Anderson film. This film is so adorable. I went as Susie Bishop for Halloween. That's how much I love her and love this film. Just such a sweet love story and told in such a unique Wes Anderson kind of style, obviously, and the soundtrack's amazing and the cinematography is amazing. My number 5 is Silver Linings Playbook, which I actually did see more than once this year, so I got to really reassert how much I enjoyed it. I thought it was such a good, completely embodied everything you want in a movie. It's funny, it's sad, it has amazing performances, one of the best casts, and they were all nominated very deservingly. Expert direction and everything about this movie, I completely love it. I think it's such a crowd pleaser, and I love how it's getting so much attention this award season, because it's nice to see that movie that really can reach everybody. It's nice to see that it can be also appreciated on such a more high standard. My number 4 is Take This Waltz. I saw this at TIFF in 2011. I actually was at the premiere. It's such a beautiful and honest look at a relationship and how someone's life can be unsatisfying even when nothing is really wrong. Just the routine of life, how it can bore you to such a point. And Michelle Williams gives such a beautiful performance. So does Seth Rogen, who we see in a more dramatic light for the first time. And the direction by Sarah Polley is just, I think that's really what makes this film what it is, for me at least. There's scenes in this movie that are just so completely beautiful and heartbreaking. My number 3 is the one that I'm very confused about the release, so this might technically be a 2013 release, but it is another Sarah Polley film. It's Stories We Tell. It's a documentary, and trust me, I never ever would have thought I'd have a documentary anywhere near my list, let alone at the number 3 spot. But Sarah Polley tells the story, a story of family, a story of how people tell stories, and she does it in such a way, I was not bored for 1 second, and that's the thing I would think. I'd be bored during a documentary. But it's just such a beautifully told like perfectly put together story, such a narrative, such a way that the way she edited it, the way she filmed everything. It was just, I love this movie. And it came out here in Canada this year, and I saw it in theaters, so that's why I'm confused. Technically, I believe it comes out in the United States in 2013, and it's gonna be for that award season. Sarah Polley is such a brilliant woman and brilliant filmmaker, and she's really just really making her mark on film. Number 2 of the year is probably going to be a surprise for most people, but it's Jeff Who Lives at Home, which I was in love with the first time I saw it, and I still was the second time I saw it. I saw this movie as well at TIFF in 2011, so the first time I saw it was so long ago, but it just hit me, and it affected me in such a way that I really did not see coming. I mean, Jason Segel is actually one of my favorite actors, comedic actors anyway, and I love Ed Helms too, and I love the Duplass brothers just in general, their directing, and Mark Duplass as an actor. This movie, I guess it's just when I saw it, it really affected me, and I can't let go of the way that it affected me. Because a lot of people see this and they don't think it's anything special. But the message of the story of to just, you know, follow the signs and kind of follow your fate and like take control of your life, and I don't know, there's just something so resonant to me about it, and the way that the film is made, and it's so completely touching and beautiful and heartwarming and funny and sad and everything. It's just, I think it's such a beautiful film, and I guess it's mostly just the way it hit me that one time I saw it. I can't let go of that feeling. It's something that I associate with this movie, and I'm so happy that it was able to do that for me, and movies should be able to affect you in a certain way. And it's a movie where I left with my perspective on life affected and changed, and it's amazing that a movie can do that. And my number 1 of the year, if you didn't already guess, is Looper. I was anticipating this movie so much, and if you saw my TIFF video, my top 10 TIFF video, it was my number 1. So, I mean, clearly I guess I know my own taste. Looper is the one movie that I left the theater feeling so excited about movies, excited about the experience you can have while watching a movie. I felt like I was in a totally other world while I was watching Looper. I was completely transported into this futuristic life, and I think everything about it, the visuals, the acting, the makeup, the story, the screenplay for this movie is genius. It's not only just another science fiction movie with time travel and weird whatever stuff. It's that, but it has so many moral values, so many things about humanity that makes you question. You leave the theater with a million things just like racking your brain, and it's such a cool experience to have that in a movie that you would think would be just some other action chase film. And Rian Johnson, you did an incredible job at making the story, and I loved it so much, and I haven't felt as excited leaving a movie in a really long time as I felt when I watched Looper. So almost for that reason alone, I can say that Looper was my favorite film of 2012. So that was really long. Thank you so much if you stuck around to see all my comments on these movies. I hope that you get to check out all the movies that I mentioned today, even the ones I haven't seen. I've heard really great things about them, so if you get a chance to see them, please watch them and let me know. Let me know what your favorite movies of the year was. Let me know if you hated the movies I chose, or if you love them, or what you think, whatever. I would love to talk to you guys about it, so just comment, and if you want to see more, you can always subscribe. That always makes me kind of happy. Also, I'm going to be writing an article of my top 10 films. It will be on my Tumblr page. Not sure when, but probably within the week. And yeah, so thank you, and here's to another amazing year of film in 2013. It looks like it's going to be really great, and I'm going to put out a video of my most anticipated movies as well. So look out for that. Thanks so much.